Time for the weekly rankings report here on MMA Junkie. I am Brian Garcia, and I'm joined by our rankings chair, gorgeous George Garcia of MMA Junkie Radio. Let's just get into it, George. Big weekend. Middleweights were right in the forefront of everything. How do you see all that playing out in that main event? What did that do to the rankings?
Man, two big names fought on Saturday night, and I wasn't, of course, if Romero won, he goes to the top, and if he doesn't, what do we do? It wasn't that great of a fight.
No.
Israel Adesanya did what he had to do to get out of there with the belt. He stays at number one, obviously. We'll address him on pound for pound in just a sec. Yoel Romero, though, that one was tough. Look, he's lost to 1, Adesanya, 2, Costa, 3, Whitaker. Whitaker twice, by the way. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So, yeah, we can sit here and say, oh, he's lost 4 of his last 5, but they've been killers. You know what I mean? However, he still is on the losing end, while a guy like Jared Cannonier, ever since dropping to middleweight, is 3-0. I got to give him some love, so we're going to do a little swap there, 4 and 5.
I like it.
Yeah.
We also have to take a look at Strawweight. Big co-main event there. George, what happens there? Any movement?
The champ holds on to the title, so Zhang Weili will be remaining at number 1. However, with Joanna Jędrzejczyk, that feeling I felt like, I think even the announcers might have said it, and I know Twitter was blowing up. You felt like you were watching the number 1 and number 2 fighters at strawweight, maybe even of all time, right? But then you look, and things settle down on the next day when you're doing the rankings, and you realize Joanna Jędrzejczyk is right between, she's at number 5, she's right between Claudia Gadelha, who she's beaten twice, and Rose Namajunas, who she's lost to twice. How do you put her past Rose after Rose has taken her out twice? I mean, look, there's a round robin there, I get it. Joanna beat Jessica Andrade beat Rose beat Joanna. And then I caught myself. I said, I can't get her past Rose and do all that, create the round robin with Joanna coming off a loss. So she has to stay at number 5. No movement there either.
An epic KO punch from Beneil Dariush. Did it get him some love? That's 4 in a row for him. Where do you see him?
It did get him some love. At one point, Beneil Dariush was in our rankings. He's back. And we're going to usher out Francisco Trinaldo. You know why we can't do it with Alexander Hernandez. And then Eddie Alvarez, even though he's been sliding down, he's still putting in some work, and he's got some great credentials. But I think at this time, Francisco Trinaldo, who hasn't really been that consistent, he's a G, he's a tough out. He's got to go out now at honorable mention, and in is Beneil Dariush.
All right, 2 guys coming off of lengthy layoffs in Sugar Sean O'Malley and Neil Magny. George, are they back? In the case of Neil Magny, of course, tell us where they fit in the scheme of the rankings.
Yeah, you're right. Neil Magny for a long time was in the rankings, and due to the layoffs and, a couple losses, he just had to slip out. Look, man, sometimes we go with the dish that's hot at the time, you know what I mean? And in this case, well, it was easy. He beat Li Jingliang on Saturday night pretty convincingly. So now Jing Liang will have to step aside. Neil Magny will jump into the honorable mentions. Can't put him past Lorenz Larkin, however. And in the case of Sugar Sean, look, that guy has a bright future, but it's been 2 years since he's fought. And Jose Quinones, no disrespect to him, he's just not the kind of guy that can put you over. Plus, at bantamweight, there are some killers. Davishvili, Rob Font, Marlon Vera. Yeah, that one's a really, really tough one. A case could be made maybe to put him in there and take Davishvili out, but I would have been looking for a little tougher opponent than Jose Quinones to do that if you're going to remove one of the guys. You have to, look what Neil Magny did. He removed someone from honorable mentions. And I know I mentioned Israel Adesanya earlier. There's a movement there. He's in our pound-for-pound rankings. That's the one where we're splitting hairs. Guess what, man? He goes from number 8 to number 6. Miocic just... prior to winning the title, he lost. And then he's had these 1-year layoffs while a guy like Adesanya's been super busy. And then you got Ryan Bader, who, hey, man, love him to death, heavyweight champ and light heavyweight champ at Bellator. That's why he's getting some love, but there's been a lack of frequency of fights. He's going to defend his title in a couple months at light heavyweight, but he hasn't done that in years. Israel Adesanya is staying busy, and he's fighting that, that murderer's row that's in the UFC. So that's a big move right there.
Great stuff as always. Junkie Nation, leave a comment if you agree, disagree. Anyway, we'll see you next week on Rankings Report.